Okay, so we got the car running. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but we do not have tach. Temperature looks like it's working. Fuel level, maybe it might be just low on fuel, but tach's not working, and I haven't tested speed yet, so that doesn't really surprise me too much. I have yet to get the fans working, so I've got to test all that. But the car does, with the new master cylinders, the car does in fact go into gear. I obviously got to tighten up the shifter. So let me see where the release point on this thing is. So it's pretty low to the ground still. I mean, it's a lot better than what it was before. So it's probably 2/3 of the way up, or 1/3 of the way up rather. But it's got good pedal pressure, so I think it's bled. Okay, so we got that running. We've got a bit more things that we need to check, but temperature gauge is actually starting to read now. So it's just a little bit on the late side there, but it's working. Fuel level though, like I said, it could be low on fuel. I'm not too sure, but like I said, it's running now. It's going into gear. We got to test all the fan functionality, but the fan stuff doesn't seem to be working. So all right, so as you guys saw, we got the wires ran, so we've got to make a couple connections here. So in this, we have our O2 heater wire, the fan activation, and boost control solenoid right here. Then we've got, I made another pigtail, which is this one, if you guys were wondering. This is for the our new main relay. So one is power, one's ground, and it doesn't matter which is which. And then on this side of it, we've got a wire that's coming from the back, and this is our fuel pump turn-on wire. So we've got to wire these things up here, and at that point we should be ready to go. You guys missed it, but we had an issue with the clutch master cylinder. So he's got an upgraded Willwood clutch master. It comes with like this adapter kit and everything, but there were a couple issues with that. Mainly that we were missing a fitting and a line, so we got that all situated. It's all bled, it's ready to go. So the plan now is to get this all wired up the rest of the way, and you know, with fingers crossed, we'll have this thing started. Because I've also been forgetting, what we need to do as well is get this battery on the charger. So the battery is pretty low. We got the car started, as you guys saw. It took a bit of cranking to get it fired up, and the reason is that we did not have the gauge cluster back in, and you need the charge light for the alternator to function. So because we didn't have that, it wouldn't charge. So, goodness, what's going on here? All right, so I'm gonna get my ass kicked trying to get this opened up for some reason. So hopefully I can get that thing open. Oh, there we go. And just like every other car that comes in here with struts for the hood or the trunk, they for some reason just do not like to work. All right, so that's just a bundle of wire there. So here's the yellow wire for the fuel pump that's ran up front. That's eventually going to get tucked. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get this thing on the charger, and I'll get everything kind of wired up over there. And hopefully by day's end, we'll have a car that starts and runs. Okay, so I can't get the fan working. The ECU says it's outputting on, but it definitely isn't working. I'm gonna do some testing here really quick, but first thing I need to check is the main relay side of it. We know on this side, the fan relay, it should all be working because I've tested it before by jumping the wires. So we've got a ground on the inside, and the power comes off of this main relay here, what we wired in as a main relay. So the first things first is I got to check the main relay to see if it's working or not. All right, I don't know if you guys can hear, but the fans are running. I didn't have a fuse in the fuse holder, so I've got a 10 amp fuse, but the main relay side is not kicking over, so I'm not really sure why. I've got my clutch cuts in there jumping power to that. So that's telling me that I'm gonna have power at the fan relay, the boost control solenoid, and the wideband, which obviously isn't hooked up. So there's definitely something wrong with the main relay. Whether it's an activation side of it, I don't know. We got a couple things that we've got to, now that we got the Supra running, there's a few things we need to do. Most notably is the pressure sensors. So there's a couple pressure sensors. These are the connectors for it. And mainly that what we're dealing with is fuel pressure and oil pressure. This is a map sensor that used to go to the AAM, but the Max ECU has one on board, so we're not too concerned about that. I took a look at the wiring on these connectors, and I found out that black, blue, and black, white are common. So those mean that those are sensor ground at 5 volts. What we're after is these stripe wires. So this one is white and purple, which went to the fuel pressure sensor. And then down over here, we've got the oil pressure sensor that I've unplugged. And where did that connector go? Oh, I'm missing that connector somewhere. Oh, found it. So down here, the wire that we're looking for is white orange. So we're after white orange and white purple, and those are going to be our oil pressure and fuel pressure sensors respectively. So what we're going to have to do now is go inside the cabin and just trace out those wires. So as you can see inside our cabin here, we're gonna have to locate these wires, but we're also gonna have to remove the back shell off of this to find out where the respective wires go. So it's gonna take us a little bit of time to figure all that out, but we have to, unfortunately, we just have to figure out where it goes and then get it all wired up. Okay, going end to end, we've located our fuel pressure and oil pressure sensor. Fuel pressure I had actually already labeled. The AAM uses fuel pressure as part of the fuel calculation, so I had it labeled, but it's always good to confirm it. So this is confirmed to be fuel pressure. This one right here is oil pressure. So both of those are done. We'll go ahead and plug the sensors back in, and then we can, I think I'm gonna leave the back shell off the AAM for now. Set that over here in the door handle so we don't lose it, just in case we have to do any more troubleshooting. But we've got those all figured out, and we just got to wire them into the Max ECU and then calibrate them. So looking at the diagram, the analog in 1 and 2 are temperature sensors, and 3 and 4 are 0 to 5 volts, right? So I've got fuel pressure on analog 3 and oil pressure on analog 4 is how I have that wired up. And then we're gonna go ahead and test it here shortly. I've also got the vacuum line ran here for the ECU, and so we've got that set up, and then that's basically it. So we're having some issues with the Supra here. Let me get this thing fired up. So as you guys can hear, it's running pretty decent, right? So keep in mind that this car does have cams. It's got like 272s and 264s or something like that. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen it. I set timing all the time. So when you sync timing, you tell the ECU to lock at 10 degrees, and you make adjustments on the timing to get it all together. So right now, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but right now timing is 0. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this and hold everything together, and hopefully you guys can see the problem. So I'm going to give it a couple revs, and what's going to happen is the timing mark is going to move. So if I give it rev, any type of RPM, the trigger mark moves. So now, same deal here. We can replicate it on the cam gear, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but we're going to look at the mark on the valve cover and the timing mark on the cam gear, and if you look, it does the exact same thing. So I don't know, again, I don't know if you guys can see that. I know timing light stuff is always hard to pick up on a camera, but basically timing is set on the ECU for 10 degrees. I have it set up so where it hits with the knob here, you can adjust this dial here to get it to hit top dead center, even though it's 10 degrees on the machine. And so yeah, basically if I give it any type of revs, even though the timing's locked, the mark moves. Now, generally speaking, what that usually indicates is that there's an issue with your trigger settings, right? Link has a delay function, and I've tried the delay function is not designed for that great of a gap. Like that's huge. Usually with you know, some revs, it might move like a degree or so, you know, just a little bit, and you can use the delay to offset that, and that's totally fine. But this is very, very great. And this kind of tells me that there's an issue with the timing setup itself. Now, again, guys, I'm new to Max ECU, so you're learning as I'm learning here. And I've been going through all the help sections here with the Max, okay? And I'm gonna go through the trigger here. So this is our oscilloscope reading here. And this top orange one represents the crank, and this bottom one represents the home, which is the cam. And if you kind of go through it, just quickly scrolling through it, you'll see that the timing looks relatively okay. Like there's no missing teeth, there's no teeth that are gone or anything like that. This is the trigger logger, and this shows the crank itself. I had one of the cam, but I don't know where it's at, to be honest with you. I don't know if I even saved it. But this kind of like is literally looking at the teeth here. And on the 2J, it's got on the non-VVTi 2J, it's a 12 tooth. So there's no missing teeth at all on this, and that's why if you look at the teeth, they look relatively the same. Okay, so obviously the idea is to have them perfectly level and even, but you know, compression causes change. It could be a voltage thing, but it's close enough. Like there's nothing missing out of these teeth, so that looks to be okay. And you know, like I said, I've tried looking at this oscilloscope here with the car running, you can see that it's relatively the same as well. And so I'm not really too sure what it is. It just seems like the triggers are wrong.
Okay, let's try that again. For not having an idle valve, this thing actually starts up really nice. having a lot of things that actually runs pretty decent. Oh, spoke too soon. Spoke too soon.
So we got timing set up, figured it out. It ended up being an issue with the actual crank sensor. The crank sensor, we had the wires backwards. And I don't know whether I was troubleshooting it from when I was troubleshooting it from before, but anyways, I got the crank sensor. I ended up making it match the cam sensor just to eliminate one variable. And so we got that together, and timing is now pretty much on point. So it's dancing around a little bit, and that's what we anticipated. But now we're gonna deal with the revving side of it. So in the software, there is a delay setting, which is here, and its default value is 40. So I'm gonna turn that back. And what that does is it should change, timing should change a little bit with rev, or it should not rather. So all right, so that is done. Putting at the default 40 has seemed to taken care of it. We don't have any lost sync or anything. We still have that lambda error, so we do have to get that situated. But this side is done. We're going to go ahead and unlock the timing angle out of it and call that good. So now we've got to deal with the wideband ordeal. I've double checked the wiring. All that is good. So really the only thing that could be is a sensor. Now, like I said before, is that these sensors aren't warranted. You know, when you buy them, manufacturers say right off the rip that these sensors do not fall under warranty. If they fail, they fail. So it really sucks, but it is what it is as part of it. They're really sensitive. They could get dropped during shipping, and that's why they don't get warranted. You could argue to say that, yeah, you could pack them better, but like I said, again, it is what it is. So that side is done. Timing is synced. Let's deal with the wideband side of it. And then we can start street tuning this thing. I think we need to get some fresh fuel in it. There's a little bit here, odds and ends, but like I said, we're definitely getting there. So I think at this point, like I said, we're gonna deal with this OT sensor ordeal, get that all switched out, and then call it good.